Well, welcome back to the channel, guys. It's pretty bright out here right now. It's the afternoon. I was getting ready to leave for work, and I looked at my security camera in my office that points out into the driveway. That security camera up there, the white one, and it's 24/7 monitoring, and it just points out over the driveway. And I happened to look at the screen when I went in the office about an hour and a half ago, and well, this is what I saw, kind of. All of that is well, coolant. I just seen big old puddle of coolant out here. It looks like it does now because I had a bag of sawdust that I'd been saving from cleaning up stuff, doing woodworking projects. And so to try to soak up some of it, I poured the sawdust all over it and moved it all around and piled it up underneath the edge of the car where there's a bunch of coolant, like right there. But I took a video of it, which I will put in here. Yep, still dripping, I see it. It looks like the water pump went bad again. I think I just put a water pump in this car 2 or 3 years ago. It's probably been maybe 50 or 60,000 miles ago I put the water pump in, and it's leaking from the exact same place as it did last time, only this time it's worse. Last time it was started out as a very slow leak, and it then progressed to being a big one. This time it just failed altogether. When I got home from work last night, it was fine. I didn't have any overheating issues on the way home from work last night. And of course I parked the car overnight and got up and saw this. I do have to leave for work here in about 35 minutes or so, and it's about a 10-hour job, at least with the tools and the experience and knowledge that I have. It's about a 10-hour job to replace the water pump, and I'm actually overdue for a timing belt on this car too, so I guess I'm going to buy a timing belt and water pump and replace it. But right now my cousin is actually coming to pick me up to save my butt again, and she's going to take me over to my grandfather's house, and he's going to let me use his van to get to and from work until I can get my car fixed. But it looks like I'm probably going to be buying a new car also, because I can't be reliant on other people's vehicles to get me to and from work. So I will fix this. I will video it for you guys. I'll try to do a better job than I did last time replacing the water pump on the car. I was struggling. It was my first time doing it on this car. I've got 263,000 miles on this car now. I'm sure that there's probably some kind of detrimental mechanical failure coming in its future that I can't fix or something like that. I hope not, but I am going to fix my car. I am going to get it back on the road, but I'm also going to buy another car. I already talked to my wife about it, and we decided that's probably the best bet. Having two cars would benefit us in more than one way anyway. So yeah, that's probably going to be about the end of this video for now, or the beginning of another video. But yeah, if it's not one thing, it's another. What's up, guys? Jesse here, and I am at the car wash. This will be the second video in the new series. It's going to be getting my car fixed. In the meantime, my grandfather let me use his van. I believe it is a 97 Dodge Caravan. Grandpa doesn't really drive too much anymore. The van sits in the driveway a lot and doesn't get used, and it's really dirty. So It's got all of this all over the hood, all over here, and then this is the roof. The windows are dirty. I mean, it doesn't get a lot of use. It does drive pretty good, but it's just really could use a car wash. So, because Grandpa was nice enough to let me use his van while I get my car fixed, I'm gonna get it clean for him. So yeah, I mean, the dirt on there. I don't have my tripod with me. I don't have really any way of putting my phone up so you guys can watch me do it, but I'm gonna get it clean and then bring you guys back to show you the final product, I guess, or the aftermath of all of the dirt coming off of it. I would just use my pressure washer at the house to do it, but honestly, with as old as the van is, I'm kind of afraid that my pressure washer is like 32 or 3400 psi, that it might take some of the paint off. So I opted to go to the car wash and do it instead. So yeah, final look of the dirty van. And the paint's not too bad. It is rusted out on the bottom of the doors and back here really bad. So that's kind of the reason why I opted for the car wash instead of my pressure washer. But yeah, I'll bring you guys back here in just a little bit. Alright, so I'm all done washing the van. I was not able to get the top as clean as I had hoped. Got some dirt on my finger. Yeah. So that's still what's left after using the foaming brush and the jet washer thing, the spray nozzle. Still quite a bit of stuff up there to take care of. Probably gonna have to hand wash all that stuff off, like stand inside the door and open the sliding door and stand inside and get up there with like my hand mitten, wash brush or wash mitt or whatever, and try to scrub all that stuff off. Maybe put some degreaser or something up there, I don't know. But overall, not too bad. I mean, it's still wet, obviously, but all of, or most of the stuff that was on the doors and around the edges, all cleaned off. You know, not too bad. Definitely looks a lot better now. I did lose a little bit of paint like I thought I would. It's less paint than I would have if I would have used my pressure washer. And over here, I think that's a chunk of rust from the body somewhere. I'm guessing underneath the car somewhere, but that's a pretty decent chunk of rust. I was trying to use there's a blower on the wall right there, but apparently the blower is much louder than the beeping sound that tells me that I'm about to run out of money. So it turned off, and I'm not going to do it again. I'm not even sure how much everything just cost me to do this part. Because they have the credit card option here, so I just used my card and kept adding more time to it. It's probably going to be like a $30 car wash, but it really needed it. It was in it was in pretty bad shape. I mean, all of the letters were covered around it with built up years of grime. Some stuff is still falling out of it, even though I sprayed it off like 9,000 times, but there's just so much. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this rust and this paint chips and the trash over here. But that's basically it. Maybe the van will be happier that it's clean, and you know, I won't have any issues while I have it, while I'm getting my car fixed. Alright, YouTube. I don't even know what part, section, whatever this is, but this is the start of the actual water pump timing belt replacement on my '08 Sebring. There's a hair over here on the camera. I haven't really done much right now. I got the car in the garage and I've got it up on jack stands. All four wheels are off the ground. All sides, I got it up on jack stands. And I took this tire off, and that is all I've done so far. So I guess the first step is going to be, I need to get this plastic out of the way. So I'm going to have to get into, well, let's see, in there. I've got to get to that and get that bolt off there. So I've got to get all of this plastic out of the way. Okay, so I've got the airbox unscrewed here. That takes a 10 mil socket to get that undone. The hose clamp is a 5/16. Turn it off. There we go. So 5/16 to get the hose clamp off. I unplugged. I think this is the mass airflow sensor for the airbox. I unplugged it, and I unplugged the this is the throttle body control. This throttle body is electronically controlled, so that's unplugged. And then I have taken one bolt out of the one of the coil packs, and there's 7 bolts holding the intake manifold to the top of the engine, and I've gotten all 7 of those out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are all out. I have the tire off of the car. I have to get in here and remove the plastic water mud guard and disconnect the battery still. I haven't done that yet. But I'm moving along. This is going to take so long. I'm definitely not looking forward to it, and I know that it's going to try my patience. First of all, sorry about the noise. I had to get my fan set up. It's hot out here. I think it's like 80 degrees outside, and my garage is not much cooler. Okay, so I've got the airbox out of the car over here on the floor, and man, is it dirty. And I'm pretty sure that this connection right here has something to do with checking the airflow through the intake manifold, making sure that it is good based on what the throttle body is putting through it. I used the 10 mil, and I got the 2 other coil packs in the front loosened up because they got these nubbins on the top of them for the plastic cover that goes over the engine. So I got that on there, or off there I should say. And I think right now I need to go ahead and get the serpentine belt off. The battery disconnected still. I still haven't got the battery out. So I guess I'm going to do that now. So I've got the mud guard, rain guard off of the inner wheel well, and I got the positive terminal of the battery disconnected from the post. So that should be good for killing the power, and well, it's resting over here off to the side, so it should be, I mean, it's pretty taut over there. It shouldn't pop over there and get into the terminal and connect anything that shouldn't be connected right now, so it should be good on that. On to the next step. Oh, that was a 10 millimeter used where's it at? Here we go. 10 millimeter ratcheting wrench to get that nut off there. That way I could keep my hand on the top and bottom of the wrench and keep this side of the wrench from contacting any other metal surfaces and possibly arcing the battery to the frame. Okay, so before I continue on with the car, I'm definitely having a lot of issues being able to see stuff on the right side of the car right now. What I'm dealing with, it's kind of dark over here, not a whole lot of lighting over here versus the amount of lighting over here. There, here. I know it doesn't look a lot different from the angle of the phone, but it is. So, real quickly, hopefully real quickly, I think I'm going to move this light that's in the center of my garage, and I'm just going to undo those cable connectors, and I'm going to route that light over here to this side of the garage.
A few moments later.
We have light over here now. Not much light in the back of my garage, but I have light over where I need it right now, which is what I need. So there's the light. I already opened the garage door, and there's about a hand's width between the edge of the light and the garage door. I at least now have light over here. Not as much. That light over there is 10,000 lumens, and this one's only 4. So I don't know. I'll figure something out. Maybe I'll get another one of those lights and replace this one with it. But for now, I can see what I'm doing a lot better. Alright, so I'm down under the car now. And this little splash guard, mud guard, I've already got that bolt out of that top corner. It's a 10mm bolt. And I've got one more up here, that one right there, that I've almost got backed out all the way. And let me just say that having the ratcheting wrenches is definitely a godsend. I'm glad that I got a toolkit that has them in it. Okay, so now we're getting down to some nitty-gritty stuff. I've got that plastic cover off like I showed you in the last little video. Here's the harmonic balancer that I have to be able to get off to get all of the covers off for right there, all those covers off for the timing belt and the water pump. So I'm going to get a wrench on the tensioner pulley and go ahead and get the tension off of it and get that serpentine belt off. I've actually never replaced the serpentine belt, and it's in really great shape still. Like, it's not cracked on the backside. There. It's not cracked on the backside. The front side is still in really great shape. It's still nice and rubbery and pliable. I don't know, just a good belt, I guess. I've put 130,000 miles on this car, and I've never replaced that belt. So hopefully it continues to work good. The new alternator in here still. And like a year and a half ago, I put a new starter in it, and I got a new battery like probably a little more than a year and a half ago. So yeah, anyway, let's get down here and get the serpentine belt off. Alright, so next what I'm going to do is I already unplugged this connector that's actually got the broken, like, it clips on and it stays in place just fine, but the connector, or the latch that latches it in place kind of broke last time I removed it. So as long as it keeps working, I guess it's alright. But I'm going to get the alternator disconnected and then take the alternator bolts out, and that way I can relieve the tension off the alternator and hopefully make getting the belt off a little bit easier. That bolt right there on the tensioner pulley is a 15mm. So I need to get a 15 on there and relieve the tension and get the serpentine belt off. So I've already gotten it off, but just wanted to show you I use the good old-fashioned buddy wrench technique because I don't have a 15-inch long enough. And I put it on here, make sure that the
The wrench is nice and snug up against the bolt, and pushed up with this one and pushed that tensioner pulley all the way up and relieve the pressure off of the serpentine belt so that I could get it off. Now, right now I want to try to make sure to remind myself which direction this was going. So it went under the tensioner, over the harmonic balancer, and under the AC compressor, around that roller pulley up there. Or no, wait, that pulley is the that one right there. That one is the power steering pump. So it went around the outside of the power steering pump, and then let's see. Okay, so yep, there's the power steering pump. Comes up over the top of the power steering pump, under this idler pulley. This just straight up roller idler pulley, which seems to be okay. Doesn't seem to be any kind of issue with it. It's not really loose. Doesn't feel gritty. And then over the top of the alternator. Oh yeah, see? Real smooth, it's quiet. Don't think there's an issue with that. It should be alright. So I went to AutoZone and to get the timing belt components kit with the water pump and everything. And I rented this. It's a Chrysler harmonic balancer pulley puller. It was brand new whenever I rented it. I had to take the plastic wrap off of it, so nobody's had a chance to screw it up. And in case you've never used one of these before, the way that it works is, let's see, first of all, there's instructions. Lubricate pressure screws, so we'll put a little bit of grease on that. Remove retainer bolt from crankshaft, so we'll remove that bolt from the crankshaft. Carefully attach pulley to harmonic balancer using correct length adapter rod. So I don't know which one is going to be the correct length, but I guess we'll figure that out. Turn center forcing screw clockwise until a harmonic balancer is removed. This puller is not designed for impact power tools. Got it. So this has, it's got a 3/8 inch drive attachment on it, so I could put a 3/8 inch drive on there. And you basically put your 3 claws on the harmonic balancer, put one of these rods down the middle of it, and then this screw has a hole in it, and then you put the screw on the rod, and then it pushes against the inside where the harmonic balancer attaches to the crankshaft, I think it is. And I'm not real well versed on all of the technical terms of all this stuff, but I think it's the crankshaft, because the camshafts are on top. And then you just use like a ratchet and you turn it until the harmonic balancer pops off. So that's not what we're doing right this moment, though. Right this moment, I need to, I'll go ahead and put this back in here so I don't lose any of it. Look at that, I already got my dirty fingerprints all over a brand new tool. But like I said, it's the Loaner Tool program, it's gonna get dirty. But I can take my buddy wrenches off now. And as you can see, it's all wet right here because the coolant was all leaking right out through the water pump area. So the next step I'm going to do right now is I'm going to finish getting the intake manifold off, because that's going to be a chore. Alright, so like I said before, I've already got most of that side disconnected. I've got to get that plug off of this, whatever the sensor is here, control box, whatever. I think it's a manifold valve tuning control, and either this one or this one is bad. And those two things are the only reason, one of those two, or maybe both of them, are the only reason that I have a check engine light on in my car right now, is because one of those two intake manifold tuning valves is bad. But to buy a new one, it's like over $100. So anyway, like I said, I got these already taken off. I'll get those plugs disconnected from the intake manifold tuning valves, and I think oh yeah, I've got these hoses are off. I have to take this bracket off, disconnect this cable or hose back here from the back of the intake manifold, and then I think there's one more somewhere around here. I think that bottom one might have to come off too. I don't remember. It's been a while. Last time I had that off was about a year and a half, 2 years ago, because my car was basically running really rough and wouldn't get above, I think it was like 25 miles an hour without shaking really bad. And so I had to take that off, and well, the reason why is because I had a bad fuel injector, and once I got the fuel injector replaced, car's all better. Until now, of course. Alright, so I just spent like 10 or 15 minutes trying to get this piece off of here. So I haven't explained this part yet, but I'm taking the intake manifold off because the last time that I changed the water pump out, my stupid head didn't change the timing belt. But I was kind of scared too. First time ever doing it, wasn't sure if I could get the engine to top dead center or not, and get everything lined up. And it's a good thing I didn't, because it probably would have taken me 20 hours to do it instead of only 10, because the intake manifold back here in the back of the intake manifold, way back here somewhere in the back, there were, I don't know if they're still back there or not. I think I took them off. Pretty sure I took them off. There were two support brackets back there in the back of the engine that were, needless to say, the worst part about any of this. I could not get in there to get them off. I guess they're there to support the intake, the weight of the intake manifold. It's mostly plastic. This is all mostly, it's just plastic up here. And then there's some metal down here toward the bottom, but it's all mostly plastic. And it doesn't actually weigh that much. And the head, or the intake manifold itself, has 7 of these bolts holding it to the top of the engine. So those brackets were literally just there for support for the weight. I didn't put them back on after I replaced the bad fuel injector, because if I ever get another bad fuel injector, I didn't want to have to go through all that again. So they never went back on, and the car has been fine ever since. It's been probably 50,000 miles at least, maybe more, since I replaced that bad fuel injector. But yeah, it took me, I think, like 4 hours to figure out how to get those brackets off the back. I had to come over here to the left side of the engine and down right there. Well, actually, it's down under the coolant overflow tank. I had to remove the engine mounts, loosen those engine mounts over there, those two right there, and rotate the engine counterclockwise on this left side out toward me and pull the engine away from that area, because with all of these pipes in the way from the air conditioner and this, I took this off, the intake manifold tuning valve, I took it off so that I would have even more room. I couldn't get back there with any kind of tools. It was so hard, it was so difficult. And so yeah, like I said, that part did not go back onto the car, and it has been fine ever since. That being said, I'm taking the intake manifold off so I can get the spark plugs out to relieve the compression on the engine, because it probably took me over an hour of fighting the compression of the cams and the pistons and all that stuff to get everything lined back up. And I said I didn't buy a new timing belt, or I think I did. I was stupid and I didn't put a timing belt in whenever I did the last water pump, and I should have, but I didn't. And so I marked on the cams and on the crankshaft pulley behind the timing cover where the belt was at. I used like a paint marker, and I marked across the belt on one side and the belt on another side, and the crankshaft pulley I marked across from the pulley to the belt, and that way I'd have lines to mark up the exact teeth that the belt was on when I took it off of it. I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to take the intake manifold off so I can take the spark plugs out and release all the compression off the engine, and that way I can get everything lined up, and it won't take, hopefully will not take me over an hour just to get the timing belt into position. Yeah, let me just get back on all this, because I've still got hours of work ahead of me, and it's already almost 10 o'clock at night. I didn't get started until probably like 7 or something like that. I had company over at the house. Family from out of town came in, and I was dealing with other family related stuff, and I just didn't get to it. You know how it is. Life gets in the way sometimes. But here I am. I've got all night. It's Saturday night. I will get it fixed. You'll see. I hope. Okay, after fighting it with it for a little while, I finally got this hose. Let's turn the light on. Finally got this hose back here. Sorry, this light is in the way. This hose did not want to come off of there, but I did finally get it off, and I didn't break anything. This piece right here was in that hole right there, and went all the way down and around and connected down here to this. If it'll focus on it. So much stuff in the way. It went into this, and it was 2 8mm bolts to get that off of there. And I had to snake it up and out to get it out of there. So I've got that off. Now I went to try to, I've got the bolts all pulled up so that I have something to hold on to, because they don't fall out. They were kind of threaded in, I guess, a little bit. But I went to pull it up, and it wasn't coming up over here on this right side. Then I realized that the throttle body has a bracket that connects down to the side of the block. So that's what I got this wrench on right now, and that's a 13 millimeter. And if you want to take that nut off right there, it's a 10. But I'm just going to take this bolt out and keep the bracket on here and take the whole thing all together. So let's see if we can get this on here. I already started loosening it, so it wasn't tight. Alright, got that out. Now, that should mean that the intake manifold is free. Alright, so I think I have all of the bolts that hold the intake manifold down, out. I think I got all the tubes off of it too that would hold it in place. So let's see if it wants to come up this time.
So this thing probably weighs 30 pounds, I guess. So back here. Right back here. Alright. These two brackets, or these two holes right here on the back of the intake manifold, is where the two support brackets for the rear half of the intake manifold went. And actually, I won't be able to see it. Move this out of the way. So I never removed the brackets because the brackets are right there. So there's one and there's the other. But I never put the bolts back in the brackets because they were damn near impossible to get back out. And whenever I changed the spark plugs for the first time like 2 years ago for the back half of the engine, because I couldn't get to them. I couldn't get those bolts out. I couldn't get the intake manifold off. I could not get to these spark plugs to be able to get them changed. So the front two had been changed in the recent past, whenever, like before I did the back two, but never both together because it doesn't look like anybody has ever taken that thing apart. And last time I did this, I broke this PCV valve connector piece right here. I snapped it off right there. So thank God I didn't do it this time. I am going to cover up the intake holes with probably some like duct tape or painter's tape. Probably painter's tape. I'll probably put painter's tape across there after I wipe it down, just to keep it from anything falling into the engine. I do recommend that. So I've got some blue painter's tape, and I'm just going to cover up the ports on the top of the engine for the intake. So I don't want anything like a socket or something falling down in those holes, because that just goes from a bad day to a worse day. Alright, there we go. Intake ports sealed off so nothing can fall in. Okay, so I went ahead and unplugged all of the wires that go to the coil packs and got all of the bolts from each one of the 6 coil packs out. I have not taken them out yet, but I want to number the tops of the coil packs. I used an OBD2 reader that my brother has, and whenever I checked it, it said that there was a misfire on cylinder 3. So this coil pack is actually new because I thought it was the coil pack, and I replaced it with a brand new one, and it didn't fix the problem. So I investigated further and found out that fuel injector 3 was just not working right. It wasn't firing right. It wasn't doing what it was supposed to. So I had to rip all of these little Christmas tree clips out of the engine and pull all this up and take the fuel rail off and take the fuel injectors, all 6 fuel injectors out to replace it. But back to what I was getting at. Based on the way the engine is sitting, if that's 3, then this is probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just using logic, I guess. So what I'm going to do is I've got a green paint marker over here. I'm going to clean the top of all of these off, and I'm going to mark them all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in that order. That way I put the coil packs back in the same spots that they were in, just in case that might cause a problem. I don't want it to cause a problem, So I don't know how well it shows up, but I got them marked 1, 2, 3. That one's kind of hard to see because of the Denso logo on top. 4, 5, and 6. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull the coil packs out and then get the spark plugs out so that the compression on the engine will be relieved. That Denso coil pack is on there. Gee whiz. That did not want to come out. Okay, so the spark plugs are they are the 5/8 inch plug or socket. So we'll get them down here and broke free, hopefully with no issues. So that's the first plug out of number 6 here. Looks like it's I don't know, burning lean, maybe? Before I actually forgot to get some today, but before I put these back in, I'm probably going to get some anti-seize to put on them. And I need to get a spark plug gap checker, because that gap looks a little large. Number 2, or I guess number 4. Here's spark plug number 2 from cylinder number 2. Remember, this car has 263,000 miles on it right now, so I'm sure they're not going to be perfect. I think I'm going to use a wire brush and clean those up before I put them back in. They haven't been in there that long, although maybe I'll just buy some new ones. Because I got it this far apart, I might as well put new ones in now anyway. Especially with these back 3 being so difficult to get to. See, that gap looks a little bit better on this one. I think the gap might have been wrong or off on the other 3, or other two of the other 3. Last time I put these in, I did put some anti-seize on them, so must be why they're coming out so easy. Alright, spark plug out of socket, or cylinder 3. This one's a little rough to get out. And that's from cylinder number 1, coil pack number 1. Seems like it's burning hotter on one side of the plug than the other. Okay, so just like with the intake valve ports, I'm going to put a piece of tape over the top of all of these to prevent anything
possibly falling in there that I don't want in there. Dirt, debris, a socket, whatever. So now that that's all done, that's all taken care of. Compression should be relieved from the engine. And like I said, I might just get new spark plugs since those three are so hard to replace anyway, since I have it this far apart. Now it's time to get the focus back down here on the harmonic balancer and try to get it out of there. So this is the kit that I got for my car. It's got a Duralast timing kit with water pump. Includes a water pump, timing belt, tensioner pulley, and a hydraulic tensioner. And what's on the package isn't exactly what's over here. So, in addition to the stuff that it was listed on the package, you got the timing belt, the water pump, which does appear to be the same one I put on the last time, and appears to still have what I believe the still same fatal flaw that the last one had and the first one had. So I've got the gasket right there, the orange gasket that's going to go onto said water pump. Now right here, there is no metal from the gasket is going to be the only thing keeping the liquid from coming out, like whereas everywhere else there's a metal ridge all the way around. Even right here there's a bolt hole really close to that, but there's metal. There's a bolt hole really close to that, but there's metal all the way around. And then here, no metal. Here, no metal. So in two places, and I do believe those two places are it goes in like this. Sorry you couldn't see. And so those two places are these two holes right here, I believe. Yeah, these two holes. That being said, it seems like a fatal flaw. I bet whenever I take the water pump off the car that the gasket O-ring, whatever you want to call it, is swollen through right here, and that's what's allowing the coolant to leak out of the car. It's like that gasket is or sealing ring or whatever you want to call it that's in that package is not strong enough to keep from it pushing through here and creating a hole that the coolant just leaks out of. And again, it could have been the bearing inside the water pump wore out, and that's why it's leaking. I don't know, but I got a new one. I'll put it in, and hopefully that isn't the reason why that it just stopped working, because that's stupid. And if so, this is like forcing you to have to do this job, forcing you to have to spend money that you maybe not have to have somebody else do it. In my case, I'm doing it myself, but what if you didn't have, I think this job at like an auto shop would probably be like $1,000 job or something like that, or $600 to replace the timing belt and the water pump. So the other things that came with is the tensioner, or the pulley, the hydraulic tensioner for the pulley. So whenever you put this in, it's going to go in like this up against this, and when you pull that pin, this tensioner is going to push and tighten pulley, which is going to tighten the belt onto the cams and the crankshaft pulley and all that stuff, and keep it tight around the water pump so the water pump keeps working too. And it looks like it also came with some seals. There's 4 of these. I am actually kind of at a loss. I'm sure that the rear main seal is right there, and it probably needs to be replaced. But does it need 4 of them? Was this a mistake and they put too many in the kit? Pretty sure the rear main seal is just one of these. And what, I got 3 additional ones for whatever reason? Or is this the rear main seal? I don't know. I'm gonna have to look it up and also check out what everything looks like inside the engine once I get it apart, and see if there's other seals in there that I just didn't know needed to be replaced, because I am not a professional. I'm a do-it-yourselfer. I'm about to do this myself. Alright, so it's time to get into some of the nitty-gritty stuff. Harmonic balancer needs to come off now. This nut, I believe, is a 19 millimeter. Let's see here. Or no, maybe 18 millimeter? Come here. Alright, so this is a 18 millimeter impact socket, Pittsburgh Pro, and it fits on there, and it's pretty tight. So that should be the right size. And earlier today I went over to my brother's house and I borrowed his big 24 volt cobalt brushless, and I don't know if it says on here, it doesn't say how many foot-pounds it does or whatever, but it's a beast. And the last time that I took this off, I used this and it did it with no problem. So, should have no problem this time too. Alright guys, I got you in there as far and as close as I can. I'm going to hit this with this impact and see if I can get that harmonic balancer nut to come off. Hopefully the engine doesn't try to rotate too. Yeah, look at that. Came right out. There we go. It's a little dirty, but looks like it's overall in good shape. The 18 worked just fine to get it out, and I think it's 100 foot-pounds to put it back in. So let's get this harmonic balancer, harmonic balancer pulley puller kit ready. Okay, so it says to use the right size shaft. That might be a little too small. That's the smallest one. Let's do the next size up. I think that might probably work. Alright, so the next size up seems like it's probably going to work. But I think maybe I'm going to go up one more, because I think it'll give me more threads to try to pull on. So as long as that puller can thread into the three-piece, the threaded part here, as long as it can thread into that, then we should be good. Let's see how far out this goes. Alright, so I forgot all about this part of it, but whenever I went to try to put this in, I remembered these pins are all removable, and they're removable because the, let me try and get this out of there, it's got the little locking ball on there, but these arms come off, and the pin is a really strong steel, and these pulley hooks, you can't put them straight in. it won't fit straight in, which means it won't fit straight out. You have to actually cup it sideways or twist it sideways and lock it into place. And now, as long as the pin stays in on the puller, it literally cannot fall off. You don't want to get it on the edge because you could cause damage to the back of the harmonic balancer. So you want to push these in as much as you can before you start putting tension on it, so it grabs as much meat on the back of the harmonic balancer as possible. And then you just start cranking on it and see how easy it is to pull off there, hopefully. Yeah, I'm gonna get this all set up. I'm gonna need 2 hands and the space to get in here, and I'll get the push rod and this in there, and the pulley puller set, so to make sure to use some type of grease on here. So I've got some high temperature bearing grease that I'm going to put on the screw to make sure that it doesn't tear it up, and we'll go from there. So I'll bring you back in a minute. Okay, so that took a hot minute. I greased up the screw pin real good, put grease on the threads inside. I got the balancer basically centered on all 3 of the spokes for the harmonic balancer, and as you can see here, maybe the teeth are engaged on the back of the harmonic balancer pretty well on all sides. I had to put a screwdriver in between the teeth here and the harmonic balancer. I put a flathead screwdriver in there and pressed the screwdriver outward so that it would push the little grabber arm as far inward and close to the center of the harmonic balancer as possible on all 3 sides. So there's a big old gap on all 3 sides. And I got it basically all centered up. So now I guess I'm ready to put, I actually got my 3/8 inch drive ratchet, and I put an extension on it so I can get a little bit more leverage out here, away from all of the metal parts that I could smack my hand and stuff on and nick up my arm, or like cut my hands and stuff on it, in case it just pops. I doubt it is gonna pop loose, but the next problem I see right now is I've got about a finger's worth of gap right here in between my frame rail of my car and the puller. I might have to try to reposition it so that these openings right here are kind of up, or see if once I get it far enough out, if I can get it out with like a pry bar or something. Quite all the way out yet. It's really close though. Okay, so it's off. I ended up just putting the pulley puller back on again and rotating it so that it was as far this direction, all the teeth, as possible, so that one of these openings So like when I originally started out, let's just put it in here. When I originally started out, it was like this, where it was locked into the middle of the pulley. But by doing that, with the engine in the current position that it's in, this corner was up here at the frame rail. So I rotated that corner, or the pulley puller, I'll just call it the puller. I rotated the puller this direction so that all of the teeth were as far counterclockwise into the pulley as possible, because I knew it was about to come off, and I knew it wasn't going to take much force for it to finish coming off. So I just put it back on there, and by doing that, it gave room for this ear on the puller to clear the edge of the frame rail, and it, within just a couple seconds, it popped right off. Now for some of the tedious stuff that kind of sucks real bad. Let me get this puller out of here. So the harmonic balancer is press fit, and if you look on the back of it, it actually has a spot for those teeth on the puller to lock in to pull it off. They actually thought of, hey, if we need to get in here and change the timing belt, how are we going to get this off here? Well, let's put a spot for the puller to go in. But it's press fit, it's not keyed, so you don't have to worry about getting the key lined up whenever you put it back in. Yeah, that's it for that. So I'll set this off to the side. And now what I was talking about, some of the tedious stuff. Alright, so the tensioner, that bolt right there in the center, that tensioner bolt has to come off, because this tensioner blocks the timing belt plates, the covers that go over the timing belt. It blocks those from coming out. You can get all the bolts out of it, but then you can't get it off because that tensioner pulley is in the way. So I have to get it to come out far enough that I can then just move it out of the way. But in the meantime, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, however many else there are up here. There's like 9 bolts in the timing cover. There's some more up there somewhere. There's one up there. There's one there. There's more. I have to get all of those bolts out of the timing cover because, well, I can't get the timing belt off and the water pump out with the timing cover on. So I'm going to work on that. See, I think a lot of them are 10 millimeter. Let's see here. Here's my 10 millimeter wrench. And bam, perfect fit. Get off there. See, a little bit of play, but they're all 10s all the way around, except for I think there's one that's a freaking Torx screw. Like, seriously, why did you have to make this so difficult? I think it's up higher though, and I do believe to get to it I have to remove the power steering fluid container, the overflow for the coolant, for move this tank over here out of the way, to be able to access some of those bolts. And I think maybe I have to take this motor mount off here, which, if that's the case, I'll need to put the jack under the car, put a couple pieces of wood on top of the jack, and support the bottom of the engine with my my hydraulic jack, my floor jack. I'll put it under there and just kind of prop the engine up using the oil pan. It actually says that in the Haynes manual. Put some wood underneath the oil pan, and support the engine on with a floor jack while working with one of the motor mounts off. Seems a little shady to me, but I guess we'll see. I mean, I might just see what I can figure out to not do that, because I don't like the idea of supporting the engine with the oil pan. Alright guys, so it's been probably about an hour since the last shot that I took on the car. I got my safety glasses on now. Probably should have had them on all along. I don't have any non-tinted ones that I know where they are right now. So that kind of sucks. But I've been under the car. I've been down here under the car getting the bolts out of the timing cover. So far, I've gotten this nut off, and that was a 15 millimeter. These two bolts, those were both 13 millimeter. And those five bolts, those were all 10 millimeter. Unfortunately, there's two more of these that I can't get to just yet. Those two would be up here. You're not even gonna be able to see them right now. They're somewhere up here at the top of the timing cover, but I can't get to them right now. I started working on getting the power steering pump off because it is also in the way of a bolt. There's a bolt right. Oh, come on, focus. Right there. See that bolt right there? Ow, go back. Focus, lock on that. That bolt right there is in the timing cover. And so I have to get the power steering pump here off in order to get that bolt out of the timing cover. And as you see right here, that is an E-Torx bolt. There's 3 of them in the power steering pump. Why they decided to use an E-Torx, I have no idea, but that is an E-Torx, an E12. There we go. Turn it off. It's an E12. Yeah, I gotta get, like I said, there's one right here, and then there's one down there that you can actually still see on the top. Let's see if we can focus on that spot right there. That one, and then there's one on the bottom that I have to get out too. So technically there's 3 more bolts holding the timing cover on. The timing cover actually comes off in 2 pieces. It's 2 pieces. I have to get all of the bolts out. Actually, I think there's one more bolt right there that I have to get out too. This one right there. Oh, nope. That one right there. That one right there. Then I keep covering up with the socket. I have to get that one out too. So yeah, I've still got, because this maybe I don't have to get that one out. I don't remember. We'll see what happens once I get these other ones out. I know that one back there, that bolt way down there behind the pulley for the power steering pump has to come out. It's in the main timing cover. This one up here, that one might not have to come out. That's like a secondary, that's just an idler pulley. And I don't remember for sure if those 3 bolts right there have to come out and the idler pulley has to come off or not. I'm thinking no. But right now I'm going to work on getting the power steering pump out. And actually one other thing, I have to take this and this off. Well, because I have to. They're in the way. I don't want to have to take them off, but they're simple enough. It's 1 bolt here. I think that's a 14, another 14 here, and another 14 here. And then all of this stuff will just kind of shift out of the way. I'll take the hose clamp off and move that hose out of the way. And then I'll just take the whole everything here and just move it over here. There's a bracket underneath of here that I don't know if we can see it or not. It's not okay. It's not a bracket. It's that right there. There's it's like a hose clamp kind of, but it uses one of those little Christmas tree freaking plastic clips to hold it in place. But it's a pain in the butt to get out of there. It holds good. I'm honestly very surprised that after 14 years that dang thing has not broken yet. Due to other issues with the car, including the last water pump change, I've pulled that thing out of there like 3 or 4 times and it's not snapped off or broken. So I guess yay for the plastic they used to make that one. But yeah, I gotta get going. It's actually 1 o'clock in the morning right now, or a little past 1 o'clock in the morning. So I've effectively been working on this for about 5 hours. But at least this time I kind of know what I'm doing. So it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I have gotten the car all the way to this point. I took the idler pulley plate off because it needed to come off. And got all the screws out. There's the other cam up there. I did mark because I can't seem to get the crankshaft to rotate, so I marked on the cam a green spot right there, and then I did the same thing on the other one. I don't know if you'll be able to see it in there or not, but lining up the cams so that I know if they move or not. And then down here, the top dead center mark right there, put a green mark on the crank so that hopefully I can make sure everything stays aligned. Let's see, I think it's time to get the tensioner out and the pulley off so that I can get the belt out. And if we look up here, I don't know if we'll be able to see it or not. See, there's the coolant leaking out right there from the bottom. It looks like it's also been leaking right out of where the pulley, or I meant the pulley, the pump spindle is at. See the black right there in between the 2 bolts? That means that it's been leaking out of there and out of here. So water pump definitely bad. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the LED lights are making my camera leg out. You can see lines through the film. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get the tensioner off and get the timing belt out and, well, see about putting it back in. We'll see how the timing belt looks too. Because like I said, I have 263,000 miles on the car now. Timing belt was last changed before I got the car at about 125,000 miles, so it's been almost 140,000 miles since the timing belt was changed. So we'll see what shape it's in. So in order to get the tensioner out, there's those 2 bolts right there on the bottom. Once I remove those, it'll relieve the tension on the timing belt. And then I'll go ahead and take the pulley off and get it out of the way. I got a new pulley, I got a new tensioner, and I have to look at the crank seals and stuff, because I've got a bunch of seals that came with this kit and I don't know where they go. I don't know, does this, looks like this, well, it looks like that comes off, but it's keyed. And I don't have the right stuff to take it off. Currently, I am not leaking any oil. It's holding oil fine, so Hopefully it doesn't decide that it's going to start leaking oil and I have to do all this over again and figure out how to get that crankshaft pulley off there. I can see that it's got those threaded holes for a different style of puller that I don't have. There's one threaded hole there and one threaded hole there. Unfortunately, I don't have a puller like that. I don't know, maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I should just try to get one of those pullers. Like, maybe I should just get the timing belt and tensioner and everything off and like go to Harbor Freight tomorrow and get one of those, not a 3-jaw puller, but one of the ones where you can put bolts in it, and it's got like 2 or 3 spaces on it where you can put it in there. But like I said, 263,000 miles, rear main seal, I guess right main seal, because it's not at the rear of the car, is not leaking. I'm not leaking any oil anywhere, and I hope it stays that way. I mean, the oil pan is kind of, well, there's the oil pan. As you can see, I mean, it's dirty, but I don't have, I mean, there's a little bit of stuff there. I don't know if that's coolant or if that's oil that's been getting all over that right there. But yeah, I'll go ahead and get that tensioner off there and get everything taken apart. All right, so as you can see here, all of the bolts are out of the water pump. Water pump is still in currently. Oh, where is it? Let's see if we can get the camera up there. Water pump is currently still in there. I know that a good portion of the coolant did leak out, but I'm fairly certain whenever I bop this thing from above, it's going to start dripping a whole lot more. So therefore I've got a catch pan down here to catch whatever comes out. Let's just see how much is actually left in there. Okay, so I guess I'm gonna have to get up here and, you know, try to hit it with a hammer and like a bar of some sort. Let's grab this big, huge, what is that, 13/16 wrench and my hammer. Pretty much exactly what I expected. That would be why I bought 2 brand new gallons, or whatever the standard size is, 2 brand new things of coolant, because I knew between everything that's already leaked out and what was gonna come out that I was gonna need more coolant. So I'm gonna let that drip for a little bit and I'll come back. Okay, so let's go over what I have found so far. The E12, I think it was, the E12 bolt that's at the bottom of the power steering pump is the worst. There's no room to get in there to get it out, at least on my car, because most V6 engines, the belts and the pulleys and the power steering pump and all that crap is up here in the front of the engine, and there's probably more room to reach it I do know that I saw in one of the Haynes documents about this car that taking the radiator fan out helps make sure you can get to everything more quickly and more easily. Number 2, have something to catch the coolant like I did. Much less mess this time than last time. Number 3, the belts appear to be the same length, and I counted the number of teeth or ribs on both belts, and they both have 201 ribs on them. So they both have the same number of ribs. They seem to be the same height, except for, the old one is probably a tiny bit worn down. It's only been 140,000 miles. The belt that was in the car, grab it here. All right. So on the left is the new belt, and on the right is the old one. And as you can see, you're starting to be able to see the ribs through the back of the belt. So that's an indicator that your belt is starting to get worn to the point where it's not usable anymore. This one's nice and still thick and, doesn't have any issues. Second, on the old belt, let me see if I can find it real quick. All right, on the old belt, there is one spot right here. I marked it with the green marker that it is like, I don't know what happened there. It's worn more down right there. There's like, you can feel, this is all smooth and kind of shiny. And that spot is dull, and it almost looks like it was, burnt through or something like that. And if I flip the belt inside out, that same spot, there is a crack in the belt right there. See it? So this belt definitely needed to be replaced probably a while ago. I don't know, it could have went for another 20,000 miles and been okay. Or it could have broke tomorrow, assuming that the water pump hadn't messed up on it. So definitely glad that I went ahead and splurged for the entire replacement kit. The next thing that I wanted to bring up to you guys, and I highlighted this the last time that I replaced the water pump, but I was in so much of a hurry the last time that I couldn't go over it real clearly. So old one, new one, obviously, just by looking at them. Now this one is made by GMB 120711727MO17201. So that's the one that's here, and that's the one that was clearly leaking all my coolant out from right here. Now, I did look at the back, and as you can see, right, where is it? There it is. Right there, you see the gasket is pushed out to the edge a little bit. This one is not as bad as the one that I took off the last time. The last one was like, let me see if I can find something here. Well, the last one, this piece here was pushed like way, stop moving. Had this problem the last time too. This piece was pushed like way down into the bolt area, and same thing for this one. So as far as that goes, this one held up better. There's still a little bit of a gap right there above my fingernail. And you can kind of see, I tried using stop leak before I put this one in to try to stop the leaking. And so it's got a little bit of the residual stop leak material stuck in the edges here. Now, the other thing that I wanted to talk about is when you take the bolts out, you can do like I did this time. And as I removed one, like so I took this one out, I put it in that spot. I took this one out, I put it in that spot on the new one. So if for some reason you don't do that, or you don't think to do that, or you've already taken this out and you don't know which bolts go where, there are 3 sizes of bolts. This one, you see how that's flush mounted there? And then this one, see how it's recessed? And then this one is sticking up. It's proud. So if you look at the difference between the bolts, each one of those indicators is an indicator of which size bolt goes where. Proud is the long one, flush is the medium sized one, and recessed is the short one. So that's how you'll be able to tell which one goes in which hole. This one, let's see if I can still see it over here. Alright, so on the top of the nut it says GMB WIR 1630104WL, and this one on the top says HSB WB1, was that a 6 or an 8? It's 1630084. So 2 different companies, 2 different, I mean, same design. You can see the design is all the same. This back plate is only slightly different right here. There, it's a really pronounced dip for this to go in at. On this one, it's very sudden. It just drops off real sudden and goes into it for this. So there's a little bit more play there, but also I'm fairly certain that gasket came pre-installed on this one, whereas the gasket on the other one, I'm not going to flip over, but there's no gasket on there right now. I have to put the gasket in. So slight differences there. You know, it's, I don't know, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe, you know, like I said, this one, the old one, failed after about, I don't know, 60,000 miles or something like that, and started leaking out through the spindle. Maybe whatever the GMB company uses for gasket material or whatever in there, maybe theirs is better, and so it'll last longer, and I won't have to do this again for quite some time. I mean, the original one that was in here, I mean, it made it like 160,000 miles before needing to be replaced. So I guess only time will tell on that. Right now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take all these bolts and one at a time take them out of the water pump. I'm going to clean the threads off because a lot of them are really, well, they're kind of gunked up. I don't know if it'll focus on it or not. They're gunked up. Look at that, there we go. There's stuff in them. Looks like some of that stop leak is still in there. And then other ones, they're just really, let's see it. They're really dirty. They came out really gritty. Like as they were coming out, it was real gritty. So I'm going to clean up all the bolts on wire wheel, and then I think I'm going to start trying to reassemble everything. I got to clean off the surface, the mating surface for the new water pump, and then I'll start putting it back together. Okay, I know this is going to be a long ass video, but it's actually the next day. I'm wearing the same clothes I was wearing yesterday because I just knew I was going to get all kinds of dirty and probably sweaty again today, so I put everything back on from last night. I was out in the garage until probably 5:30 this morning trying to get the water pump and everything out, and
the timing belt off, and all that stuff. Well, finally, it is currently like 5:30 in the afternoon. I think I laid down at like 9:30, 10 o'clock this morning, and I got up 2:30, 3 o'clock, and it's like 5:30 now. But it's finally to the point where the timing belt part is done. Okay, so if you look right up there at the top, there's the top dead center mark on the crankshaft pulley, and it's lined up with the top dead center mark on the casting. And up here, the front cam is lined up. It's like a fourth of a tooth off. And then the rear cam is basically the same thing. Like, I can't get it here real good. It's like a half tooth off. See, there's the mark down there, and there's the mark on the casting there. But it's like a half tooth off. That's got to be. It's probably some type of thing to do with the belt stretching, or the tensioner not being fully released and ready or whatever. But I've got the car so far apart right now I can't even attempt to start it. I've got sensors and spark plugs out and all kinds of stuff, and I'm probably, like I said, gonna go buy new spark plugs, because I've got the car apart to this point where the spark plugs are out. I might as well put new ones in. Like I said, it's probably been 2 years and, I don't know, 60,000 miles maybe, 50,000, 60,000 miles. So I need to get some anti-seize and buy new spark plugs. And then I'll continue putting the rest of this back together. It all goes back together, basically the opposite of me taking it apart. I might just put you guys up in a slow motion, like time lapse thing. I'll just set the camera up off the side and time lapse installing all of the crap that I have to install to get the car back up and running. Except for, I'm not going to time lapse putting the timing cover on. That is slow. There, like I said, there's all of these have to go into that timing cover and this plate for this idler pulley. I did end up checking the timing belt pulley, and I was like, I wonder how good or how bad it was, because the other one, when you spin it, it spins just a tiny bit and then stops. It's got nice good tension on it. It's not loose at all. This one is loose, and whenever you spin it, it keeps going. It's not supposed to be that loose. So I'm glad I bought the kit that came with one of these, and it's currently installed. So yeah, it was definitely a big ordeal. I couldn't get the stupid cams to line up properly. That I'm still fighting compression on the engine. Somebody in the comments tell me what I'm doing wrong, but that's the spark plugs. There are no plugs in the engine right now. Why am I fighting compression on the cams? I'm not an engine expert. I don't understand why it's still so hard to spin the cams around. I mean, I know that the valves are probably still doing what they're supposed to, seating and whatnot, exhaust valve and intake valve and all that stuff is moving. I would think that being said, with the spark plugs out and the fact that I was turning the crankshaft around,
that it would have relieved all of the compression in the engine and made it to where there wasn't any tension. But yes, please, somebody in the comments, tell me why there's still so much force on the camshafts, because I just don't understand. Alright guys, so it's been a hot minute since I did an update on the car. I've just been trying to knock this thing out. I have to work tomorrow, and I'd like to be able to take my car to work and not my grandfather's van, whereas I'm grateful that he let me use it. Gas mileage is not the greatest on it, so hat's all dirty. I have to wash it. As you see, there's my hands are filthy, as expected. This is where I am currently. I got the coolant overflow box, reservoir, whatever you want to call it, reinstalled, along with the power steering pump reservoir reinstalled. Let's turn this on. I did have this idler wheel reinstalled, but had to take it back off again because unfortunately I was using little sheets of cardboard in between the cam and the crank pulleys after I got the timing lined up to keep the belts from popping off and becoming out of time again. And because of that, or not because of that, because I'm an idiot, I forgot to take one of the pieces of cardboard out, and it got lodged in between, like right up here, between the top of the timing cover plate and the top of the engine. And it was like, there was like 3 or 4 inches of cardboard in between both pieces on the inside and on the outside. Actually, this is the piece. This is how much was left inside of the timing cover that I had to then take all of the bolts back out again and get this out, because I highly doubt that this cardboard would have done anything. It probably would have just got chewed up by the timing belt. But I didn't want to take a chance after spending all this time fixing it. So I've got all the timing cover bolts put back in. I have to reattach this connector, and right now the tensioner pulley is just kind of, well, the tensioner pulley is right here, and it's not really tensioning. It's not really doing much of anything right now. But I gotta get that idler pulley back on, fix the tensioner pulley, get the harmonic balancer put back on. I don't remember if I already said this or not, but I bought new spark plugs. There's the old ones. I figured while I had them out and I could get to these back 3, I might as well put new ones in. So that's the old ones. I did buy some anti-seize lubricant for the threads on all of the spark plugs, and some spark plug boot protector, prevents stuck boots. I put a little bit on the end of all of the coil packs before I put them back in. They are all tightened down, and the connectors for all of them are pushed in, and I've already checked to make sure that they were secure. So everything right there is ready for me to put the top end back on. Yeah, I reconnected the hose for the overflow. What else have I done up here? I think that's about it up here. Definitely need to try to make sure to remember to take this off before I put the intake manifold back on. But for now, I'll go ahead and leave that there. If I don't take it off, I'm sure you guys will tell me I'm an idiot for not taking it off, but we'll figure it out. So yeah, I'm getting real close. I have not been able to start it yet. Battery's still disconnected. I'm going to probably
just get it all put back together and hope that I didn't screw something up along the way. I rotated the engine around probably, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 times, and every time I think it was, 2 and then 4 and then 6, because you have to get the timing marks to line back up again. But anyway, every time I rotated it around, the front portion of the cam timing was like less than half of a tooth off, and the rear portion was just right at about a half a tooth off. And since I don't think it's possible to do half tooth misalignments, I'm guessing it's just the tensioner and or stretching of the belt, or lack of stretching of the belt, one of the two, because it's so tight and it's new. But it's about as close as I can get it, so I guess I just have to hope for the best. I did buy 2 new bottles of coolant to put in the car. Yeah, that's about all I really got. I'm going to go ahead and finish getting the pulleys and balancers and all this put back together. I was going to time-lapse it, but I'll time-lapse putting the top end together, because there's not really a whole lot of way to see what I'm doing down underneath the car. So I'll see you back here in a little bit. Alright guys, so I got the harmonic balancer on. I heated it up, pounded it on, and then screwed it in. So I'm kind of waiting for it to cool off before I put the serpentine belt on. In the meantime, I figured I would go ahead and finish putting the top on and reassembling the engine bay. Now I grabbed the intake manifold here, and I went to go put it on, and then I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to film this. And so I set it down, and as soon as I set it down, I saw the blue tape on the top that I told myself I wasn't going to forget to take off, and I almost forgot to take off anyway. But as you see, I got the blue tape off. So I'm going to go ahead and get the intake manifold put back on the top here. Oh, fingers. Oh, come on. Alright, so aside from putting the splash guard mud liners and the wheel wells and the tires back on the car, everything's back together. I got the serpentine belt on all the pulleys, and the air box is in, the battery's reconnected, everything is all set up and ready. I'm about to put you guys in the phone stand and put coolant in the car and see if it leaks out or not. So hopefully the water pump was the only issue as far as it leaking. Sorry for the camera shaking. I've been at this for, I don't know, so many hours. I don't even know what time it is right now. 1:40 in the morning. So yeah, I'm gonna put you in the stand and get coolant in the car and see if it holds.
So I got the coolant bottle open. I'm about to start pouring it into the overflow reserve tank. Right here at the base behind the harmonic balancer is where it was all leaking out straight down this way and all over this area. So I'll have you guys stay right there and we'll see what happens. Let's get some good lighting here. Alright, well, that's a little over half a bottle, or half a gallon or whatever. Well, didn't even take a full gallon to get the overflow tank full. Now I'm sure that the engine probably needs to suck some of that down. We'll go ahead and leave the cap off of it, off of the overflow tank, and I gotta go upstairs and get the keys because I don't have them down here with me. I'm gonna try and start this beast for the first time in, well, I mean, I started to pull it in here 2 days ago, but aside from that, it's out all week. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back with the keys. Assuming that I didn't miss any sensors, like plugging one in or something, that I got everything connected up right, that the timing is correct, and all that stuff, I should be able to start the car up. I won't leave it running for very long because, well, it's up on jack stands right now. I ain't got no front tires on it. I just want to make sure that it actually starts and sounds okay. So here goes nothing. Sounds pretty good. Seems like it's running fine. I don't really see any leaking as of yet, at least. Once I get the mud liners in it and then get the tires back on it, get it off the jack stands, I'll take it for a test drive and get the engine nice and hot. Then I'll probably park it on the street overnight and leave one of these catch pans underneath of it in case it starts leaking again. Well, even after it started running for a little bit, the coolant in the overflow tank didn't go down. So right now it's at the cold fill mark. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and shut it off for now and start getting the mud liners and tires on it and get it off the jack stands. So currently it's about 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm out front trying to purge the cooling system for the car because I did get it running. That's what you hear behind me. Seems to be running okay. But while I was purging the cooling system, I found this. My radiator coolant overflow container is, well, it's got a leak. And I actually kind of figured there was a leak somewhere in the system because I've been slowly losing coolant over the last, I don't know, year or so. And I thought after the water pump went bad that the coolant leak was from, well, the water pump. But obviously that's not the case. Now I gotta order a new overflow tank. But here she is, she's running. While I was purging the system, I had the cap off and it burped. That's why it's all wet right here. It burped and coolant went all over here and started dripping down here. But as you can see, there is not currently an active leak from the water pump. I've been waiting for the cooling fans to kick on. The engine temperature is staying right at the halfway point, halfway mark, whatever. So clearly my thermostat's still working fine. I've also been waiting because right here you can typically see whenever the thermostat opens and it starts trying to exchange the fluid, it flows in here and you can see it pouring down into the overflow tank. It's currently, it's right about there as far as what's in there right now, which is close to the hot fill mark. Still haven't heard the cooling fans kick on. And then again, it is like 58 degrees outside right now, so it's not exactly really hot out. Oh, still right in the middle. There we go. Still not seeing the coolant flowing in here. Okay, so it's slightly above, or was slightly above the halfway point. Seems like it's going back down. Oh, now it's going back up. Looks like it went back down again. Oh, and the fans just kicked off. Still waiting to see the coolant flowing into the overflow tank. And the bubbles have died down because the engine got cooled off. Well, I guess I'll take it for a short drive, watch the engine temperatures. Obviously I'll take this coolant with me, check one more time to make sure that there's no active leaks under the car. No active leak. Just the residual from when it burped. That's kind of cool. Spinning so fast in person that the camera is picking it up, spinning in reverse and slower. Alright, oh, there it goes. Wait, no. That's not it. It tricked me. Alright, I'm going to go for a test drive around the block and see where we're at whenever I get back. Maybe it'll be flowing after that. Maybe it just needs more RPMs before it's going to do that. Alright, it's kind of hard to see, but the coolant is flowing through the overflow now. And of course, that's still bubbling. Definitely have to buy a new overflow tank. If there's any way to fix that. So it looks like the system is a little bit low based on the level that it's supposed to be at for the hot fill mark. So I'll turn it off and let it sit here overnight, and or the rest of the night, I should say. And I'll check the cold fill level. I'm sure it'll probably be low tomorrow too, and put some antifreeze in it, and I think that should be good. It's running pretty much the way that it was before, maybe a little bit more, I don't know, less smooth, I should say, but it's also got a brand new timing belt and brand new tensioner pulley, all that stuff. It's got to break in a little bit, I'm sure. And I parked the car. That's where it burped and made a mess. So I parked the car in a different spot. And, so we'll see tomorrow if there's coolant all over the ground or not. And obviously there's going to be a little bit of residual on the ground from the burp, but hopefully nothing like what happened whenever the water pump went bad. But I'm going to go ahead and turn the car off and go inside now and take a shower because, well, I'm covered in grease from head to toe. I'm sure it's all over my back, my arms. I've got it all over my face. I've got grease all over my face. I need to go in and take a shower. Grease and dirt and grime. Because I think that's probably going to call it for the water pump, timing belt, spark plugs video, because that's pretty much it. And I'll go and look and see how much one of these things costs. Again, if you like this kind of content, like, share, subscribe, and everybody just have a good night, have a good day, and I'll catch you on the next one.